Welcome back. Now we continue with the effects of insulin in the muscle cells. Actually, muscle tissue depends not on glucose for most of the normal time period but on fatty acids. Because normal resting muscle cells are only slightly permeable to glucose, except when the muscle fiber is stimulated by insulin. Between the meals, the amount of insulin that is secreted is too small to promote the significant amounts of glucose entry into the muscle cells. But under two conditions, muscles use a large amount of glucose. Condition 1, during exercise. During heavy or moderate exercise, usage of glucose does not require insulin because exercising muscle fibers are already permeable to glucose. Condition B, during the few hours after a meal, the blood glucose concentration is high and the pancreas is secreting large quantities of insulin. This extra insulin is causing rapid transport of glucose into the muscle cells. This causes the muscle cells to utilize glucose, preferably over fatty acids. Quantitative effect of insulin to facilitate glucose transport through the muscle cell membrane. You can see here a graph. In this axis you have the extracellular glucose outside the cell, while inside on this axis you have the glucose inside the cell. You see, when insulin is present, the intracellular glucose is increasing as per the extracellular glucose. That means, in presence of insulin, as the extracellular glucose concentration increases, more and more glucose is taken into the cell such that the intracellular glucose concentration also is increasing. But what about control? Control means in the absence of insulin. When insulin is not present, even though here the extracellular glucose is increasing outside the cell, correspondingly glucose is increasing inside the cell, but only a very marginal quantity. You see, this is the height difference. So the concentration of insulin is a decisive factor to control the entry of glucose into the muscle cells. Lack of effect of insulin on glucose uptake and usage by the brain. Brain is a different structure or a organ from the other body because mostly brain is depending upon glucose for its energy requirements. And therefore, brain cells are capable of uptake of glucose and its utilization without the intermediate functioning of insulin. Even when insulin is not there, glucose can be taken by the brain cells. And therefore, the blood glucose level should be maintained above a minimum critical level. Otherwise, blood functioning will be very difficult for the functioning of the brain. When the blood glucose level is falling too low to the level of around 50 milligram per 100 ml, hypoglycemic shock is starting. Nervous irritability will be there, fainting may be there, seizure, coma, etc. will be there when sufficient glucose is not available in the blood. What about the insulin functioning in the other cells? Insulin increases glucose transport into and glucose usage by most of the cells of the body in the same manner as it is functioning in the liver and in the muscles. Effect of insulin on the fat synthesis and storage. As we have seen earlier, fats is made in the liver and it is transported in the form of glycerides, it is transported towards the other organs such as muscles where it is stored for future purposes. Insulin increases transport of glucose into the liver cells. You see, after the liver glycogen concentration reaches 5 to 6 percentage, this itself is inhibiting further synthesis of glycogen. That means even if more glucose is coming to the liver, it cannot be converted into glycogen. Therefore, what is the fate of this excess glucose? The glucose is first split into pyruvate, and this pyruvate is converted into acetyl coenzyme A by link reaction. And if the acetyl coenzyme A is in excess quantity, actually it will have some other effect. We will come to that later. An excess of citrate and isocitrate ions is formed by the citric acid cycle when excess glucose ions are being, or glucose molecules are being used for generation of energy. These ions have a direct effect on activating acetyl-CoA carboxylase. You know that this enzyme is required for carboxylation of acetyl-CoA to release malonyl coenzyme A. And malonyl coenzyme A is the first molecule with which fatty acids are being synthesized. That means the cells are going to synthesize fatty acid. Then those fatty acids will be incorporated into triglycerides and sent to the adipose tissue in circulation where they are stored. In the adipose tissue, it has this insulin has two essential functions. Function 1, it inhibits the functioning of lipase. You know that the lipase is responsible for breaking down of lipid molecules. This lipase is inhibited by insulin. And function 2, insulin promotes glucose transport through the cell membrane into the fat cells to form glycerol phosphates. And if there is a deficiency of insulin, what's going to happen? All those aspects which we mentioned earlier are going to be reversed, because this insulin is acting as a brake upon those activities. And if insulin is not there, glycogen will be broken down, protein will be broken down, fats will be broken down, and ultimately glucose will not be removed from circulation. You see, effect of insulin lack on the plasma concentration of free fatty acid, glucose, acetoacetic acid. You know, remember, increasing the concentration of acetoacetic acid is actually considered to be ketosis, acidosis. We will see, come to that later. You see, when the pancreas is removed from experimental rats, what's going to happen? Blood glucose level is increasing, blood free fatty acid level is increasing, but that is happening within the first day itself. Thereafter it is going to be constant, while increase in the concentration of blood glucose is starting from day 1, it is continuing day 2, 3, 4, etc. While acetoacetic acid, the so-called ketone bodies in the blood, initially its level remains low and it is gradually increasing. By day 3 it is increasing steadily, by day 4 it is increasing steeply. So insulin is very much essential for the maintenance of the concentration of glucose, fatty acid, acetoacetic acids, etc. in the blood. Insulin deficiency increases cholesterol concentration and phospholipid concentration. Excess of fatty acids in the plasma associated with insulin deficiency also promotes liver conversion of some of the fatty acids into phospholipids and cholesterol. And these two substances, along with excess triglycerides formed at the same time in the liver, then discharge into the blood in the form of lipoproteins. That means the plasma lipoprotein concentration is increasing as much as threefold in the absence of insulin. And this higher concentration of lipoproteins increases the chance of development of atherosclerosis in people with diabetes. You know that diabetes is a situation in which the blood glucose level is increasing without any control, and that is mainly because of either non-production of insulin or the body is not responding properly to the insulin. What is acidosis? Acidosis is an increase in concentration of uh, keto acids in the body. Which are the keto acids? I told you by the breakdown of glucose, pyruvate is produced. Pyruvate is converted into acetyl coenzyme A. And this acetyl coenzyme A also may be produced by beta oxidation of fatty acid. And two molecules of acetyl coenzyme A may combine together to produce acetoacetic acid. And this acetoacetic acid may combine with again acetyl coenzyme A, etc., to form beta hydroxybutyric acid. All these are the ketone bodies. All these are the ketone bodies, and their concentration increases in the blood, and this condition is called ketosis. And increase in the concentration of these acidic substances in excess quantities will lead to severe acidosis, coma, etc., and in extreme conditions it may lead to death also. So this is a dangerous situation that we may face in the absence of insulin. And insulin promotes protein synthesis and storage. How? During the few hours after a meal, when excess quantities of nutrients are available, not only carbohydrate, not only fats, but protein synthesis and amino acid uptake by the cells, etc., are increasing. You see, insulin stimulates uptake of amino acids by the cells. Amino acids are taken means they are used for protein synthesis. But for protein synthesis, messenger RNA is required, and messenger RNA is produced by means of transcription, and then this RNA is used for the synthesis of protein by means of translation. That means when when insulin is there in the body, it will increase translation, transcription, etc., ultimately producing new proteins. Remember, to catalyze these pathways, more enzymes are needed, so their synthesis also is activated. This is what is there, and insulin inhibits catabolism of proteins, and it depresses the rate of gluconeogenesis. What is gluconeogenesis? It is actually the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate substances. Insulin is trying to remove glucose from circulation. So any process that adds glucose to circulation is inhibited. Remember, any process that adds glucose to circulation is inhibited by insulin. At the same time, any process that removes glucose from circulation is activated and increased by means of insulin. As I told you, insulin is promoting uptake of amino acids by the tissue, and if insulin is not there, it will lead to the stoppage of amino acid uptake by the tissues. So let us see what's going to happen. All the protein storage comes to a halt when insulin is not available. Protein synthesis is stopping, amino acids are dumped into the plasma, and the excess amino acids are used directly either for energy or a substrate for gluconeogenesis. That means again glucose is produced, and degradation of amino acids is releasing urea, and this excess urea is released in the urine, and this is actually a type of protein wasting. This is a severe effect of diabetes mellitus, and once these proteins are being lost like this, it will put the life of the person in danger. Remember, insulin and growth hormone are interacting synergistically, which means one is supporting the other. You see the diagram. Weight in grams of the animal, test animal, number of days. Depancreatized and hypophysectomized animal. An animal from which pancreas is removed and hypophysis also is removed. That means growth hormone is not able to reach the circulation. A basic weight is there for the body, less than 50 grams. Yeah, this less than say less than 75 grams. Growth hormone alone is given. There is a slight, very slight increase in the level of body weight. Insulin alone is given. There is a slight increase of body weight. What happens when both growth hormone and insulin both are given at the same time? You see here the graph is increasing drastically. So both the growth hormone and insulin are supporting in each other. They are acting synergistically to have cumulative effect. And the next slide, we are moving on to the function of glucagon.